FinTech is a growing industry in Africa, but according to reports, South Africa has failed to take full advantage of the opportunities this space has for various reasons. The lack of financial inclusion and education being one of the reasons maybe. Joining me tonight, ladies and gentlemen, to unpack the business of FinTech is Mosa Nyamande, Dapo, Adeyemo, and Manyano, Dlulane. These are innovators in the space working at Khonology, a company that looks to empower Africa through technology. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Lovely. How are you doing, my brother?
Thank you for having us.
I'll always stand up. Don't worry, you don't have to.
Thanks, Lord.
You guys are my guests. Is he one of those tall guys that intimidate your clients sometimes?
You could say that.
Yeah. On him tumela pambili.
Yes.
Kala kadibati send them pimpi forward. So you guys come from the same company?
Yes.
Okay. Name of the company, Khonology.
The name is Khonology, yes.
What inspired the name?
So it's actually quite an interesting story. We've recently gone through a rebranding, but I really believe in the name Khonology. It really represents who we are. The meaning of it is a combination between the word khono and
okay. Ability.
Something like that.
Okay.
It combines khono and technology. So khono definitely does mean ability in the Zulu language. In another language is venda, chivenda.
Okay.
Khono means key.
Oh, and what did you study?
I studied corporate finance and investments as well as information systems.
That's quite interesting. Why entrepreneurship though? Why didn't you go up the corporate ladder and just work for a multinational or something?
You know, I think previously people would follow that route. But I think with us, the millennials, we've sort of evolved. Our thing is more different. We're more diverse. We want to experience, we want to take new challenges. So we've sort of shifted, our mindset is shifted, and we look at we see the world differently to what our fathers and our mothers sort of saw it. One
smart man once told me that, you know, the current generation is so weird because they're out of order. They've got the information in their hands. Type in anything on Google, you find the answer. Like that's the last thing this world has discovered, information, knowledge. And technology has been able to take that to the people. So the power is in the people's hands, and a lot of innovators out there becoming multi-millionaires, even billionaires, just out of technology. Did you decide to get into technology, or it just happened by default?
I think it was an industry that was very dynamic, and we saw a gap in the industry. So in essence, there's a lot of technology out there, but then how do we include the masses in the technology, and how do we include a segment that hasn't had access to this? And that's pretty much what Khonology is about, taking Khonology to the people who don't know about it. So empowering the people in technology and offering services at a world-class level.
And then how long ago did you guys start your company?
We've been around for 3 years now, so still very young.
Startup, yeah?
Yes, startup.
And what exactly do you guys do?
So we do consulting, IT consulting for the banks and your main financial players. That's pretty much the business.
And how big is the industry in this country, specifically in South Africa?
So in terms of the landscape, it is quite big. So you look at your big banks, they all need some sort of IT support. And in essence, that's the role that we play. So anything that's financial and technology based, that's the market that we're in. So there's lots of opportunity. The gap is the skills. So that's what we're finding. People don't have the skills to do the job. And that's why we keep speaking about empowering. And in essence, being that the bridge, so that we build a bridge between the education, so your tertiary education, and actually offering a proper service.
I love the fact that you guys are solving problems, just by being creative and using technology. Now, I know, I look at you guys are young guys, and I know for a lot of young guys, for starting their own companies, startups, capital is always a problem. And not only capital, but also getting into the financial services sector requires for you, to comply to regulatory boards like your FSBs and so forth. And you find that guys like you guys, to plug into such environments or industries is not easy, because even to acquire those licenses is difficult. How did you guys really get started?
So I think something that really made a big difference for us was collaboration. So having collaboration was very key to getting us to where we are. Starting up, we even though we had a history of starting some businesses, smaller businesses, what's taken us, especially in the business that we're in, to where we are, is that we collaborated. So we collaborated with someone who had experience, who had networks within the industry.
Lovely.
We came with our fresh energy and a new perspective. Once we collaborated, that really opened some doors for us. And even though there were challenges, regulation is definitely it does present a challenge, but we also saw it as an opportunity.
So you guys now are FSB approved?
So we don't hold an FSB license, so we're not operating as a financial services provider.
Oh, okay.
So we actually operate as support to the financial services providers. So we implement systems and we use FinTech to empower our clients.
There's not a lot of young people in financial services though. Amatala who are very good in running these companies that have got a recurring income, like annuity income. Yeah. And did you guys plan to get into, specifically use technology to get into financial services?
Not necessarily. I think when you leave varsity, the main thing you want is employment. You want to get into the financial services space because the opportunities, because of the growth, as well as the exposure into financial services in general. However, what you find is that once you're inside, it actually presents a different opportunity because you find that, you know what, there's legacy systems in these banks, there's legacy processes, and even the mentality, also the thinking within that is bit stale. So you come with a fresh mind, fresh varsity, with logical thinking, strategic thinking, as well as practical experience in most instances where you can actually change and innovate within this bank. So, and that's where we saw the opportunity, and we find that, you know what, you can either do it within the bank or outside the bank. Then the opportunity arose, why can't we just partner with these guys?
And then you guys partnered and plugged into
Precisely.
And you've just been growing ever since.
We've been growing ever since, and the opportunities have just been enormous.
And some of the challenges you guys have had to encounter?
I think one of the biggest challenges also is the fact that you come in as an outsider. You know, you're not within the bank, so you don't understand the processes. And I think what you inside, and this guy actually say that, this guy, he's giving us a different perspective. He's giving us that independent logic, that independent thinking, which can actually help us drive our strategy initiatives. So that's when they actually embrace you. I mean, it takes a while, but I think once you've bridged that gap, once you've got over that line, then the opportunity just ends here.
Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we're chatting FinTech with all these young gentlemen, young entrepreneurs, fresh minds, fresh brains, bright young minds doing awesome things on the continent. So, as the ancient proverb says, a woman's work is never done, but it's also never in vain. Carol is an example of that. Back to my guests in the studio, ladies and gents, we're going to be, we'll have been talking about FinTech. We continue with our discussion on financial services theme. We're talking all things FinTech. And I've got a group of young gentlemen here. Do you guys know about image? So is it just by default that in Kohama suit or
there's certain things that you need to take very seriously. And
being
like young,
what?
When you're young, you don't want people to overlook you. You don't want people to say these are the young, they don't know what they're saying. So you need to present yourself in the right way and just assist us in doing business.
Yeah.
So but Mosa likes to dress pretty well. So he
loves clothes.
He loves his clothes.
And before we continue, I mean, you guys are young, and you guys know a lot of people struggle when it comes to managing their finances. The state of financial services in Africa, on the continent.
In terms of financial services in Africa, I think it is, I wouldn't say a healthy state, but it's in a functional state. I think where the huge gap is on a personal level. And in terms of financial education and people understanding their finances, there's a huge gap in that, especially with us first-time job seekers. So historically, in essence, you weren't part of the middle class. You come into the middle class, how do you manage your funds? And you can see gross mismanagement going on, and that has become a serious problem. And in essence, that has translated to the businesses.
Yeah. And I know a lot of youngsters struggle when they start their small companies. I mean, I'm one example, prime example actually, struggled with my energy drink brand. A lot of the times, if you don't have the capital, you don't have the support, you don't have a bigger brother, you just going in the field, not blindfolded, you've done your research and so forth, but it's just tough. Because all these large-scale companies make it so difficult for small players to penetrate. Have you guys experienced any of those types of challenges?
Oh yeah, I think it's a very big challenge. I mean, the regulations and the policies are there, but the problem is that you find that when you get to the nitty-gritty of the players now, the small players, the young entrepreneurs trying to get into the industry, you face so much red tape. I mean, for example, if you think about it, just starting a company, registering it takes you about 3, 4, 5 weeks.
It's difficult. There's countries in Africa you can get it registered in a day.
Exactly. Why should it take that long? And you look at, for example, in the technology space, you took patents, copyrights, lawyer fees. It's a lot of money. These guys won't have that sort of money to actually set up a business. So you're building up constraints before they even get to the implementation stage.
Do you guys get enough government? Do you think there is actually enough government support in the FinTech space?
Policy-wise and regulations, I think we've got the policies. However, my problem is that we need to get to the implementation phase where actually now we draw all these players into the industry. How do we actually get to the SMEs and the small guys like us who just been 3 years all around to be active participants in deciding where the economy of this country goes? I mean, the big players have got a bigger voice. Where is the voice of the small players like us who can actually contribute also, coming with a different mindset altogether? So I think we just need to move away from thinking about policy and regulation and look at actually implementing and bringing the younger players into the industry and the economy.
I like the thinking. You know, when you are in a virgin territory like our continent of Africa, when it comes to technology and financial services, there's a lot of opportunities. But equally so, there's bandwidth problems and infrastructural type of problems. Have you guys experienced any of that?
I understand what you're talking about. I mean, there's some technology that would enable certain businesses which just isn't there. But on the flip side of that same coin, there's some opportunities. For instance, there's some technologies that are coming up now which will just completely replace the old technologies. For example, if you've got your old school business, or what I like to call it, an old economy business, you would first need to set up a data center with servers and networking in order to set up an intranet. At the moment now, you don't need a single piece of technology. Right? You connect right into the cloud. So it's also an opportunity for companies who are coming up in this continent that they don't need to go through that experience first and feel the pain first in order to make their business a reality. There are more opportunities now.
What is the biggest client you guys have?
So at the moment, our biggest client is in financial services. So it's one of the banks. So Standard Bank is our biggest client. We also have other clients in financial services. And
is it difficult to work with a bank, or know how strict they are and regulated, highly regulated?
Well, regulation is there for a reason. As much as it might be difficult to navigate right in the beginning, it's there for a reason. It helps businesses remain as a going concern. But for us, we found that our relationships with our clients within the company have really enabled us to get the business going in a way that works for both parties.
Any client that you guys have lost and felt like, we messed up there and it was a learning curve?
Yeah, one or two. And I think the important thing for us was that, you know what, we're young, we're learning. And the most important thing, what I say is, guys, you know, everything's a learning curve. We're in a learning curve. We need to always go back to the drawing board and actually put down our lessons learned, but we won't repeat them. I mean, you don't want to repeat the same thing over and over again because ultimately it impacts on your reputation. So for us, I think the key thing is to every single day to actually make sure that we're better than yesterday. Because some of the clients won't actually say that, you know what, you messed up yesterday. But you need to actually do that introspection yourself and say, you know what, did I do good or did I do bad? Did I add value to the client ultimately? Because ultimately our key element is adding value to the client.
20 seconds in closing, what would you like to say to other young entrepreneurs out there who would like to get into IT or FinTech?
I'd like to say there's tons of opportunity on our continent. I really believe in Africa as a continent. I'm long Africa. I'd like to motivate and encourage every young person to use your potential, believe in your potential, and make it happen.
Lovely, I like that. Your closing words?
I think there's a lot of great ideas out there, a lot of great minds. It's just fear that's holding us back. So I think we need to get rid of the fear, just jump in, take that decision and make it happen. You'll be surprised.
Closing remarks?
We understand the culture, we understand the environment, we live in Africa. Let's build African solutions.
Guys, I started young, I made a lot of mistakes. I'm on my 4th startup right now. I've failed so many times you don't understand. You guys are young, you are allowed to make a lot of mistakes, you're allowed to find yourselves. It's just inspiring to find that you guys at this age, you're already where you are, because whatever fails that you're gonna get, you'll just be failing all the way to the top. And I really wish you nothing but the best. All the best.
Thank you so
much.
Thank
you very much.
Brothers working hard and making things happen out there. And, you know, these guys are doing awesome things, running their businesses at a young age and just learning and learning. They did very well. They spoke very well. They represented their company very well. I'm wishing them nothing but the best.